So, when you hear the name Albert Hofmann, you probably think of one thing: LSD. But have you ever wondered what he thought about it? I mean, what did that discovery actually teach him about reality itself? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into: Hofmann's own philosophy, straight from him 50 years after that wild day in his lab.
He gets asked this all the time, right? What was the deepest thing you learned from all this? And his answer, well, it's not what you might expect. It's not just about chemistry. For the next few minutes, we're going to follow his journey, which really takes us from a simple lab bench all the way to the fabric of consciousness itself.
All right, so a chemist's unexpected journey. And believe me, it was unexpected. Hofmann's discovery of LSD's effects? Total accident. He was just tinkering with an old compound, wasn't looking for anything crazy. But that one accidental dose kicked off this lifelong mission for him, trying to figure out what his experience really meant for the world we think we know. And here is the absolute core of it. The big takeaway for him was this: the reality that we all just take for granted, it's not the only one out there, not by a long shot. His experiences just completely blew apart this idea of a single, fixed, objective reality. He realized there isn't just one reality, there are many. Now that sounds pretty out there, I know, but he had this brilliant, simple metaphor to make sense of it all. And that brings us to his big idea: the transmitter and the receiver. This is pretty much the key to his whole philosophy. It's a really simple analogy, think of it like a TV broadcast, but it explains something incredibly deep about our relationship with the universe. So what is reality then? If it's not just, the stuff that's out there, what are we actually talking about? Well, for Hofmann, it's not a thing at all. It's an interaction. And it has two parts. First, you've got the transmitter. That's everything. The whole material universe, all the stuff outside of you. And then you've got the receiver. And that's you, your inner consciousness. Hofmann's point was, you can't have a TV show with just a broadcast signal, right? You also need the TV set to turn that signal into a picture. It's the same with reality. You need both the outer world and a consciousness to perceive it. Otherwise, the screen's just bland. And here's the key distinction, right? There's only one transmitter, one objective universe of matter and energy that we all share. But receivers, there are billions of them, one for every single person. So the outer world is objective, sure, but the experience of that world, that's created by your receiver, and it's totally, completely subjective. Okay, get ready, because this is where it gets a little wild. Let's talk about color. You see a red apple. You think, that apple is red. Seems obvious. But Hofmann points to a simple scientific fact. Color doesn't actually exist out there in the world. So what is it? The transmitter? The physical world? It just sends out different wavelengths of light. That's it. Just data. It's your receiver, your eyes and your brain, that takes those wavelengths and says, okay, this one is blue, this one is red. You are creating the experience of color. And it's the same for sound, which is just vibrations in the air, and for smells and tastes. This whole rich, vibrant world that you experience, it's not out there. It's being generated inside your own head. And the implication of that is, well, it's huge. It means every single one of us is literally the creator of our own world. We're not just passively watching reality go by. Our consciousness is actively building the reality we experience every single second. We're all living in our own private, subjective movie. And this is where Hofmann gets into what he saw as a massive problem, a world split right down the middle. He believed that forgetting we have this creative role, forgetting the connection between our inner and outer worlds, well, that's led to some pretty catastrophic problems. He basically diagnosed our whole modern world with a kind of spiritual sickness. And he gave this sickness a name: dualism. It's this belief that our inner spirit is totally separate from the material world out there. The idea that nature is just a dead thing, an object. And when we see the world that way, we lose our connection to it. For Hofmann, this wasn't just some abstract philosophical mistake. He said it was the #1 reason for the catastrophic developments happening all over our world. And you can see the results everywhere, right? If nature is just an object, then of course you're going to exploit it, which leads to environmental catastrophe. If you think matter is totally separate from spirit, you don't think twice about splitting the atom and unleashing these terrifying forces. What you end up with is a civilization that's incredibly powerful technologically, but spiritually, just totally lost, alienated. But Hofmann didn't just point out the problem. He actually looked back in history for a solution. Which leads us to the wisdom of the ancients and something called the Eleusinian mysteries. He found a potential cure in one of the most famous and secret traditions of the ancient world.
Okay, so for almost 2,000 years, the biggest names in the ancient world, I'm talking philosophers, emperors, playwrights, they all made this journey to a place called Eleusis. Why? To take part in a secret ritual that promised to heal this exact split we're talking about, the split between self and the world. It was said to give them a direct, powerful experience of being one with everything. And this quote here from the poet Pindar really gives you a taste of how profound this was. People didn't just walk out of there feeling nice, they left believing they understood the secret of life and death. And get this, for 2,000 years, nobody ever broke their vow of silence about what happened in that temple. So what on earth was going on in there? Well, at the peak of the whole ceremony, after days of fasting and rituals, the initiates would drink this special potion called the kykeon. And this was the key. This drink was what unlocked the powerful visionary experience. So the big question, the one that obsessed Hofmann, was what was in the kykeon?
And this is where everything clicks together, bringing Hofmann's work full circle. The Eleusinian mysteries were all about the goddess of green. And what did Hofmann derive LSD from? Ergot, a fungus that grows on green. So his hypothesis was that the ancient priests at Eleusis had figured out how to make an LSD-like compound from that same fungus. He believed they had found a chemical key to this experience of oneness thousands of years ago.
Which brings us to his ultimate vision for his discovery, a tool for oneness. This incredible connection to the past really shaped his final thoughts on what LSD could be for. For him, it wasn't about escaping reality. It was about connecting more deeply with it. See, Hofmann was convinced that just understanding this transmitter-receiver idea in your head, it's not enough. It won't heal that split. Knowing something intellectually doesn't really change you deep down. To really change, he said, you need to pair that knowledge with a real, emotional, existential experience of it. You have to feel it.
And that was his final, really hopeful vision. He saw the true potential of a substance like LSD, not as a party drug, but as a serious tool. He called it a pharmacological aid to meditation, something that if used in the right way, with respect and clear intention, could help us modern folks have the same kind of experience the ancients had at Eleusis, that direct feeling of being part of one big, all-encompassing reality, where that split between the inner you and the outer world just melts away.
So that really leaves us with one last big thought from Hofmann's philosophy. If he's right about all this, if the reality we experience is truly a product of our own consciousness, of our own personal receiver, then that gives us an incredible amount of power, but also a massive responsibility. It turns the question back on us, doesn't it? What kind of world are we creating?